The story I have for you today is one of resilience, of rising above the stigma and conquering the world, one goal at a time. From beginning in Chuncheon all the way to playing the most important game in the history of his club, he inspired a whole continent, proving that anyone can make it. You just have to believe in your dreams with all your might. This is the story of Son Heung-min. I think it won't make anyone mad if I say that Son is one of the most underrated players in world football. His ability and skill set have time and time again gone unnoticed, with multiple big clubs never really pursuing him, unlike some of his former teammates, namely Harry Kane or Dele Alli. He has always been overlooked when talking about Tottenham, but truth be told, he has been one of their strongest players for 7 to 8 years. He has become one of the greatest and most popular players from South Korea, well known for his humbleness, silent influence on the field, work ethic, and will to always fight for the ball. It's no surprise that one of his idols is Cristiano Ronaldo, another great winger. Sonny has spent 10 years in North London, dedicating almost his entire career to Spurs. During that time, he has created a clinical partnership with a talented English striker by the name of Harry Kane, which would go on to become one of the greatest duos ever in the Premier League, obliterating Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba's previous record. In his decade at the club, he has made over 500 appearances, scoring more than 100 times in the English top flight, cementing his status as one of the best finishers in the league, and accumulating one of the highest number of goal contributions in these last 10 years, outdoing players like Mane and Mahrez, both who are comfortably considered the best in their positions. He has found the net at least 14 times in 8 of those seasons, proving to be absolutely clinical. So how did this little boy from South Korea become one of the best left wingers the game has ever seen? Our story begins on the 8th of July 1992 in Chuncheon, located in the Gangwon province. His father, Soo Wong-jung, is a retired footballer who once played for the South Korean national B team. He was also a big part in Son's development, strict but effective. He encouraged him to use both feet while playing the game, which later led to the birth of one of the most lethal weak foots in the world. In fact, the South Korean left winger is actually two-footed. Technically, his dominant one is his right, since that's what he takes penalties and free kicks with. Also, he nearly always starts on the left, so that forces him to use his right foot a lot more. But still, out of the 123 goals he scored in the Prem, 4 came from headers, 48 times he hit it with his left, and 71 with his right, making him a complete goal-scoring machine, capable of hitting the net with whichever foot. Sonny's brother was also a professional footballer, having made it to the Hamburg youth team. However, he had to retire early due to a serious injury. His love and unrelenting desire to win was shown when he was very young. As a 10-year-old, he performed 3 hours straight of keepy-uppies, a feat most modern players may struggle with. He played for several different school teams before joining his first professional club in 2008, when he signed on for Seoul FC, the same club in which another Spurs player came through, Lee Young-pyo, but doing so 8 years earlier. His stay at the club wouldn't last long, as he'd then go on to join Hamburger SV's youth academy, thanks to a project endorsed by the South Korean FA. So at 16 years old, he was going to change countries as he found himself a home in Germany. At this time, he was not yet an official member of the youth division, but this would change in 2009, when he finally became a player for them. He ranked up through the lower teams, and on his 18th birthday, he would sign his first professional contract with the German team. In his first season with the club, he played 14 times and scored 3 goals, an injury keeping him out early on in the year. On his return, he would score in his first game against Köln, making him the youngest to do so for Hamburg in the Bundesliga. This good start to his adventure in Europe would see him make his debut with the national team in a friendly against Syria. He would also be called up for the 2011 Asian Cup, where he would score his first goal in a 4-1 win against India, making him the youngest to feature on the score sheet in Cup history. For the 2011-2012 season, he would see a lot more game time, as he was featured in 30 matches, scoring 5 and assisting 1, with very important goals against relegation candidates, making sure that Hamburg would remain in the Bundesliga for another year. Son would continue to make appearances for the South Korean national team. However, he did turn down the opportunity to play in the 2012 Olympic Games, preferring to focus on his club career. The following season he would become a regular in the team, missing only one game the whole year, beginning to get used to the sound of the ball hitting the back of the net, as he scored 12 in 34 games, improving on his previous year and also becoming the 5th South Korean to achieve double digits in Europe. This would see him, in the summer of 2013, transfer from one German club to another, leaving the team that brought him to the major leagues to join Bayer Leverkusen for 10 million euros, which at the time was a club record transfer fee. He would adjust very quickly, putting some good numbers in his first season, playing 43 games, scoring 12 goals and serving 7 assists, with his first hat-trick in the Bundesliga against his old team, when they met in November. He also got his first taste of Champions League football during the year, but Leverkusen would be knocked out in the round of 16. Overall, a pretty good season. He would be called up to represent his country at the 2014 World Cup, scoring for the first time in the tournament. But South Korea would book their flights home early, failing to gain a win in any of the games. His streak would carry on for the next season, featuring on the green field for over 3,000 minutes, again finishing the year in double digits. Actually, this was the first season where he got 20 between goals and assists, appearing 17 times on the score sheet and helping his teammates to do so 4 times. He would score his second hat-trick against Wolfsburg in February, and again Leverkusen would see themselves out in the round of 16 in the Champions League, falling defeated to Atletico Madrid on penalties. Sonny would also be part of the team that would make it all the way to the finals in the 2015 Asian Cup, with 2 crucial goals against Uzbekistan in the quarterfinals and 1 in the final, but they would be defeated by Australia, delaying the young South Koreans' quest for a trophy. On a day in August, it would be announced that Heung Min Son was transferring from the German League to the English Premier League, arriving in North London, at White Hart Lane. He became the most expensive Asian player ever, with Tottenham paying Leverkusen 30 million euros. It would take him a bit to begin to shine, having to adapt to a different style of play, but he would score his first goal in his second game, a 1-0 win to Crystal Palace, closing out at the end of the year with 8 goals and 5 assists, a foot injury also contributing to keeping him out a few games. He would participate in the Olympic Games that were being held in Brazil, but the South Korean team would not get far in the tournament. Overall, a good debut season, with time for him to be accustomed to the league. Tottenham were on the brink of winning the title, but would see their hopes crumble due to points being lost in the all-important game against Chelsea. So Sonny would go into the new season with a whole lot to prove, and oh boy did he do so, pulling out a great display of class, becoming the first Asian player to be named Player of the Month, also bagging his first hat-trick for Spurs, playing 47 games and managing 21 goals with 7 assists. Tottenham would have a disappointing European campaign, knocked out of the group stages of the Champions League and losing out to Ghent in the Europa League. But alongside Dele Alli and Harry Kane, he would form an unstoppable trio that pushed them to the second place in the league. Again, he would continue improving his numbers, but the 2017-2018 season seeing him play in 53 matches. But the South Korean would not be fazed by the more games and still put up great numbers, with 18 goals and 11 assists, with some mesmerizing performances against Southampton and Rochdale. He would also overtake Park Ji-sung in becoming the top Asian scorer in Premier League history. This season would also see him put on for the first time the captain's armband for South Korea, wearing it in a friendly against Honduras, game in which he scored, and also again in the final match of the Group F at the World Cup in Russia, where he put in 2 goals in 3 games, with Korea managing to win one of them, beating Germany. In August, he would also take part in the AFC Under-23 Championship, being one of the few players eligible to play even if he wasn't under 23. South Korea would win the competition, with Sonny putting in 5 assists in the last 3 games. That summer, he would also extend his contract with Tottenham, signing a 5-year deal. The 2019 season would be one most Spurs fans remember fondly, as it was the year they made it all the way to the Champions League final. The South Korean contributed in a decisive fashion with 3 very important goals against Manchester City in the quarterfinals, but they would fall at the hands of Liverpool in the game that mattered most. In the Premier League, he would put up 12 goals and 6 assists, also picking up his first red card. In the Asian Cup of 2019, he would captain South Korea, signing up to 2 goals in the final game that allowed them to pass the group unbeaten. However, they would get knocked out in the quarterfinals by Qatar. The 2019-20 season saw him finding much more footing as a left winger, fact getting deployed there more often by Pochettino. He would score 18 times, with 10 of them being when he started on the left, serving 11 assists. During October that season, we would see him score an absolute classic against Burnley, a coast-to-coast pulling along the entire team, that would go on to win him the Puskás Award. Tottenham couldn't manage to replicate the heroics of the previous season, and Sonny would be forced to miss out on a few games due to some disciplinary action, also picking up an injury that would not help his case. Spurs would see another quiet season go by trophyless, but there was a bit of a stir at the club, as during the year Mauricio Pochettino, who built the team up, was sacked, with Jose Mourinho, a natural-born winner, joining the English side. So this year was transitory for them. The following season, Sonny would play some of the greatest football ever, a hamstring injury midway through the season hindering him, but he still put up 22 goals and 17 assists, nearly 40 contributions, with him at this point only playing as a left winger. Tottenham would have another subpar season, struggling to get past a lot of the tournaments, only managing a League Cup final. However, Mourinho would be sacked shortly before this game. Son would hit 4 goals past Southampton and scored in 3 games in a row, also beginning to develop a thing for overperforming. As the 17 goals in the Premier League, he would score them on a 9.74 expected goals, or XG, a nearly 8 goal improvement. He would be an important player for Mourinho and also the next manager that would take the place of the Portuguese, Antonio Conte, the Italian taking charge for the following season, after a short but difficult spell under Nuno Espirito Santo. Sonny would continue to build on what was already becoming an impressive tally, hitting for the second consecutive season 20 plus goals, adding 24 with a further 8 assists. This would tie him with Salah for the winner of the Golden Boot that year. Both having 23 in the league, he became the first Asian player to do so. Also during the year, him and Kane combined for the 37th time, marking a new record, surpassing Lampard and Drogba. The thing I find astonishing is that during this season, Sonny would score 23 from an XG of 15.98, an improvement of 8 goals, making also 879 passes with an 86.6% accuracy rate, and completing 51 dribbles, on a 55.4% success rate. If we compare this to Salah, who shared the reward with him, both playing the same amount of games, but the Egyptian would see a much more normal XG of 22.73, matching his goals, and he made 862 passes with a success rate of 79.9%. The only stats where he beat Son was in dribbling, as he had more successful dribbles but a lower success rate, 42.7% chance of success. The South Korean had a year where he overperformed expectations, proving that he had what it takes to silence the critics. For the 2022-2023 season, Sonny would see a poor year in regards to what he has gotten us used to, managing only 14 goals and 6 assists, his second lowest tally if we exclude the season he joined. However, he dazzled in games against Leicester and Liverpool, putting in some good performances, also being called up for the World Cup in mid-November, inspiring his nation to reach the knockouts for only the 3rd time at this tournament. But it was not to be, as they came up against the mighty Brazil, the favourites to win it all, which sent them packing with a heavy 4-1. He would become the first Asian player to reach the 100 goals landmark in the Premier League. It was then discovered at the end of the season that he had been playing on an injury for the whole year, forcing him to undergo treatment in the off-season. In 2023-2024, things would start off with a shock. After many years of courting, the Batman to Sonny's Robin would leave London, as Harry Kane would transfer to Bavaria, arriving in Munich. To replace him, the club signed another English international by the name of James Maddison, leading to the formation of a new duo between them. They would make the Greenfield sparkle all the way till the injury of the 27-year-old, with him then having to sit out a few months of football. Son would inherit the captain's armband for the club, earning the favours of new head coach Ange Postecoglou. He would receive his 4th Player of the Month and would also become the 6th player in club history to score 150 goals. Due to Kane's absence and the arrival of Maddison, he would start more frequently as a number 9, putting up 17 goals and 10 assists, helping Tottenham to a 5th place finish. He still kept his way of letting his teammates shine, however, creating 68 chances for them with more than 800 passes. During all this time, whenever he played on the wing, a new weakness was highlighted. The South Korean was much more adept at cutting inside rather than crossing. We can see that during the entire year, he only managed 5 successful crosses, with a 13.9% chance of succeeding. Another major weakness we can find is his game in the air. For the last 5 seasons, not including the current one, he only managed once to go over the 30% aerial duels won. but he still saw good numbers in dribbling with 39 completed and a 45.3% chance of success. Compare that once again to Mo Salah, who finished in front of him, and we could see he only had 27 successful dribbles with a 35.55% chance of succeeding. At his club, he has become a staple figure, a silent leader and a role model for Asian kids and adults. But there is a suspicion that he will leave the team at the end of the season, with his contract ending in 2025. According to Transfer Market, his value is currently of 45 million euros, which is destined to go down should he get closer to the expiry date without signing a new deal. However, his desire is to win something with Tottenham, lifting a trophy as captain of the club. We can say that if anyone deserves to win one, it is most certainly him. The Asian Player of the Year for 7 times, and the top scoring player from Asia in the Premier League. For Tottenham, he is 4th all time in goals scored and 8th for appearances, 7 away from equaling Glenn Hoddle. His 11th place finish in the 2022 Ballon d'Or is still the highest recorded by any player from the Asian continent. For his country, he has also showed up when it mattered, more than 120 caps, and he is 6 games off from being the most capped player and 8 goals away from becoming their all-time top scorer. His celebration has become iconic. For him, the camera pose is like taking a picture of his happiest moment, that being when he scores a goal. Time and time again, he has shown that he is not only a powerful forward, but also a gifted passer capable of threading the ball lightly, but not missing out on the occasional strike from outside the box. In fact, if one takes a look at his numbers, he has had 22 league goals from distance, however on a cumulative XG of 9.23. Again, we find an incredible overperformance, pulling out all the tricks from his repertoire as he can hit it first time or curling the ball. He has become a crucial player for club and country and is arguably one of Tottenham's greatest signings, having affirmed his status as a legend of the club. Through hard work and dedication, he has risen above the stigma and has become one of the most important players in England, still continuing to inspire players from Asia to work hard and chase their dreams.